Hi, this is Dr. Rubenstein, and I am along the Hudson River at Riverview Park in Troy. And what we're going to be looking at today is where Front Street used to be, and what was going on around here at that time. Let me turn you around here. Now that big gaping hole there used to be where City Hall used to be. At least it was when I got here 20 years ago. I'm not quite sure how long ago they tore it down. Now, it's got to be at least 10 years, at least. But they had to tear it down because the parking garage underneath was starting to collapse. And they tore it down. And since then, they have been trying to figure out exactly what to do with this area. A lot of different ideas. Up there is Monument Square, and I'll have a link to that so you can see what that part is. But this was Front Street, and some of these buildings are still there, obviously. These are original buildings. This side had buildings too, and this is gonna sound weird, but I'm going to show you this sewer cover. City of Troy, it's the storm sewer cover. Ilium Foot Troy Est. I think it translates what Ilium was, Troy is. But in any case. But this was Front Street right here. Down on this end, it seems that H. Ingram and Company was down in here. Both sides of Front Street. There was frame freight buildings right here, I think it was. Right in here. And as we go back down farther, I think this was a steamboat landing also, right here. The end of Broadway. I'll have maps. There'll be maps and pictures and things of that nature as we explore here. But there was coal sheds, which were frame buildings. They were down in through here also. I'm going to walk up Front Street a little bit more. We'll go down by the park over there also. It's somewhat been gentrified down here now. I think they have some sort of a concert across the road for the people who live in those condos. Where I said I was going to walk down Front Street, and I'm walking to a parking lot. This was all buildings in here at one time. Coal sheds, which were frame buildings. That's the Green Island Bridge. It is a lift bridge. Let me go this way. Starbuck Island, people fishing. You're getting a better idea of what it once looked like on the street. Oops, someone wants to get by me. So you can see the breaks that do. You can see River Street through there. But again, this wasn't really all buildings in here. There's a lot of open land. Well, open blocks, I guess, is what you'd say. Over there in the background, that red round thing is Kennedy Towers. And again, this is Riverview Park. It's William D. Chamberlain Park. He was director of operations for 50 years, or 30 years, I guess it was. and he was murdered by a guy in Wynenskill, which is unfortunate, obviously. But this is the Riverview Park. People come down here and spend time. Now, over that way was Mechanic Street. You can't even tell where that was, though. There's a memorial there. And that's the Fair building over there. We'll go over that way and take a look. But right here was the W.H. Fair Fulton Market. That's Fulton Street right there. And so this was a big open air market here at one point. And, well, there's quite a few things in here anyways. But as I say, there's the market, Citizen Steamboat launch down at the other end, landing I should say, freight company buildings in through here, coal sheds were down in through here. So as typical of the time period, a lot of cities just use their river frontage not for recreation, but for industry. This has a little map here. I'll have a better map. I'll have better maps so you have an idea of where this stuff is. Well, Mechanic Street would have run up through there, I believe. That was a large parking garage that they tore down. And they connected to what's known as the atrium. I'll go over here. Well, you can't really see it from here, but there was a pedestrian bridge on the third floor, I guess it was. That's the old W.H. Fair Bazaar building. And I'll have some information on the bottom there. But as you see, this is Front Street. They call it Chamberlain Way now. And as they say, Mechanic Street was down into here somewhere at one point. I'll have maps. This is a Korean War Memorial. Those who served in the Korean War. These are people who gave their life. Then over here, I'm not sure what this memorial is. I'm going to say World War II. I'm guessing. Now the design contest winner was Dennis Rugel, Kendrick Higa, and Lori E. Reiserdorf. And this is the Vietnam Memorial. Ah, this is the Vietnam Memorial. I thought it would have been World War II, but I'm wrong. Vietnam Memorial. Those who served and didn't come back. Same over here. So this is 3rd Avenue. It branches off onto River Street. And then, as I say, this is Front Street that we just walked up here now. And over here we have the Uncle Sam Monument. And they made a point of calling it the Uncle Sam Monument. because it's sort of artistically more done to the character, I guess, if you want to call it that way. But take a look here. Crossing Front Street. It's a busy bus stop also. And we're kind of fortunate, there's not a lot of people here. That's the Fear Building. But this is the Uncle Sam Memorial statue. Look at the description for more history. But it's not Sam Wilson. They didn't want a statue of him, but they thought they'd want a statue of Uncle Sam. 12-foot aluminum statue. George Katrina is the sculpture. In Chatham, New York, is an RPI professor. Depicts Uncle Sam, not Sam Wilson. So they didn't want some obscure meat to get packaged there. Over here, the barrel that you see here represents the packaging for the War of 1812, and the bricks represent the brick company he ran with his brother. And I also have a video on his house. Let me see if I can get a better view here. A video on his house also, which I'll also link. But this is the Uncle Sam statue here in Troy, and it's aluminum. Some of the information that goes along with it. Monument was made possible through the civic pride and generosity of these members. The Centurion Club, dedicated October 18th, 1980. So there is Uncle Sam's statue. Get the back view of it here. It's on the Troy skyline over there. And this is, again, now this is River Street. Front Street's down there. But this is River Street. We'll walk down River Street a little bit here. That's the Market Block. It has been in a lot of movies. There's a bookstore there, which, not a bad bookstore, but I won't buy books there. And I'll tell you why. I'm an author. I've written some books. And I gave them some books and wrote an email saying, here's some books, tell me what you think. And I just gave them the books. I didn't even ask them to buy them, I just gave them to them. And no response ever. Didn't say thank you for the books, but no thank you. Nothing. But that's the way it is today, I think. Sometimes what we would consider practical correspondence and things of that nature just don't happen anymore. So they kind of don't sell my books, won't even talk to me about my books. And so I can buy everything I want from Amazon. Kind of the way it is. Walking down River Street here. There's a monument there, and I will put a link to that monument also. That's Monument Square. And we're going to go back down to Front Street. Take a look over here first. They used to have a museum somewhere in here, but it's not there anymore. So this is Front Street. Nice view of the Green Island Bridge, Starbuck Island. At one time though, this was not what it would look like. So let's go down this hill here. That hill. Stairs. Nice old architecture. You can see why they use it for different things. The Gilded Age is shot here.
Does he have his pumpkin?
Is she the pumpkin?
Do you have a pumpkin?
Yeah, she's the pumpkin. I love What?
A gourd?
Pardon me.
Those little vegetable things that look like squashes or like the really fucked up pumpkins or animals.
Yeah, with the like bubbles on them.
Yeah.
Pimples.
Decorations.
Are you calling it?
We're now back to Front Street here.
Your pimples.
And we're just going to walk down through here. Now where that truck is down there, that vehicle, that's by State Street. And this used to go all the way over to State Street. Huh. Almost looks like someone's driving down through there, doesn't it? There was a number of companies through here too. Now right in here, I think was the Citizen Steamboat landing. And we will, again, there'll be maps. So you can take a look at this stuff. See the old freight entrances here. All apartments now, I think. Oh, there's an open gate and no sign. So as I say, this at one time was where the city hall was. Joe's Joint, huh? Interesting. That was some of the structure that was still up from the parking garage. Ah, there's a picture from Monument Square there too. So when you're looking at the map, you'll get a better idea of just where I'm talking about. And then over here, down in through here with companies like J.M. Warren Company, Starkweather and Allen, H. Graves, Troy Landenberg Railroad was down in here, their offices. And when we go to the other side, there's it was a street through here. They now closed it off. Some of these buildings are being rehabbed, I guess. And they still have a walkway through there, but that's about it. But that gives you an idea of what Front Street is today. Not sure what that building is back there. I'll circle it, but I'm not sure from right now without the map of what that is. But that's how Front Street was probably quite a bit. Was you had a building in the front, and then you had a connecting building in the back that were offices or probably shipping, maybe something of that nature. This gate's closed. You can certainly see the freight elevators on the back of the building. And I think those are apartments now. That could be an apartment there for all I know. Parking for judge only. But I would imagine this is more like what Front Street would have looked like before they put in everything else. That gives you an idea probably what the original Front Street looked like. And there's a boat coming through. Let's see what we can do here. Maybe we can walk in over there. We'll pause for a moment, see what we can do. So we have driven over from over where we were before. This is State Street here, the end of it. And, well, this is Front Street. Front Street goes across State Street and continues that way, as you can see. And there's a parking garage there. This, I'm not sure, but I think this was the J.M. Warren Company. I'm not sure. Let's see what it says up there. But these are some of the original buildings. You can see, again, the freight entrances. That says the Whitehurst Painting and Binding Company. So that must have been a printing shop, which isn't surprising to me, because H. Ingram and Company on the other end was also a print shop. So this would have been buildings over here, I think. Again, we'll look at the map. But these are some of the original buildings here. So this gives you a pretty good idea of what Front Street used to look like in the old days. And you can see these are all probably apartments today, but they're all freight openings. Now this over here, see, now they have a River Street address. So a lot of these buildings probably had some sort of a causeway over, possibly. But this here, furniture. Well, furniture made by, I don't know, 209 to 215 River Street. I'll look up and see if there's on the map. Furniture. Stewart, maybe? Start stoves, ranges. In any case, this is probably what Front Street really looked like mostly. Is right here in between these buildings. Security cameras, which is fine. I'm not going in anything. But this is probably original. Maybe not the corrugated steel, but do not block door anytime. Parking for Judge Development Corporation. Aha! Lots of cameras. Lots of cameras. But this would have been what Front Street would have looked at one point. Those would have been freight openings. And we're back over by where the road is closed. And City Hall. We were just on the other side of that fence. Front Street continues on down that way. Private property, no trespassing. Not going to. Not a problem. But this probably is what Front Street looked a lot like in the heyday. A little sunset going on over there. Well, in any case, I hope you enjoyed this look at Troy, Old Front Street in Troy, some of the businesses that were here, and how it's changed over time. But I'll have some maps. I'll have some interesting places and things to look at. No, I'm not going to try to even look through that. I'll get in trouble, for sure. But you can see the old walks here. Let me turn this around. Before I do, well, help me turn it around. Now that you can tell is old. That was the original sidewalk that went through there. I'm not sure what's inside of there. I'll probably get in trouble. Maybe. I don't know. Yeah, it's just a lot of junk in there. You can't really see anything. And then this goes back over to the park. Fishermen. Nice view of the Green Island Bridge. Starbuck Island. That is Route 2. That bridge there. The name escapes me at the moment. And you can tell they've really dressed up that top there. That's all new and redone. And this looks like this might be apartments over in here too. So in any case, as I was saying, I hope you enjoyed this look in Troy along Front Street. What was Front Street? I like you to look at some of the other views. I'll put some links at the end for you to look at. All you saw so far is my mouth, I think. But I'll put some links in at the end. But please subscribe, ring the bell, tell others, and I hope you enjoyed this little walk. So with that, I'm going to say goodbye and have a nice day.